Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be about trying to convince your parents to let you have a bearded dragon. This situation can be quite tricky depending on what animals your parents like and if your parents want to get one or not. So a lot of the time people don't like reptiles and they think they're quite creepy or scary, and that can be one main reason for why parents don't want to get their children bearded dragons. It can also be lifespan, the feeding aspect, the price of things, if they're expensive. So I'm just going to explain how I convinced my parents to let me have one, and how someone else could persuade their parents as well. So the first thing that you want to do is check that a bearded dragon is the right pet for you. I think I have a video up, so if I do I'll link it up here, and if you just watch that then it will let you know if a bearded dragon is right for you. So this is before even asking your parents. So once you have seen what bearded dragons are like and you understand, you can then go into the research process and research everything about them to make sure that you actually like them and will be able to look after them. So this, you've got to think about the expenses of the cage, feeding the live food, any health expenses, just buying everything, the lifespan, what you're going to do when you go on holiday. All this accounts into the process of thinking whether a bearded dragon is right for your family or not. And you just want to make sure that you're comfortable with reptiles. So another thing to do is go into a pet store, ask to hold one maybe. This is what I did, and the pet store actually helped me a little bit with some information about them. I just wanted to check if I was scared or creeped out that I'd be able to hold one before I actually bought one. And this was also a good way to show my mum that I was really interested. I wanted to hold them, I wanted to learn as much as I could about them. So showing your parents that you're researching and you're trying to find as much out about them before you buy them is a really good way of showing them that you're being responsible and not just getting an impulse buy, which is what a lot of families do with small animals, or for example at Christmas buying puppies, etc. Not all families do this, but it's an example. So researching and making sure you know a lot about them is the first step. Then what you want to do is find out pros and cons about whether your family would be good at having them. Again, pricing, how much money you can spend, live food, and whether your family is comfortable with this, because some people obviously don't like bugs and that is a main part of a bearded dragon's diet. So yeah, you want to make sure you can buy everything that you need, that there are vets around. So what I did was made kind of a PowerPoint presentation. It wasn't really a presentation, but I got up the pros and cons, and then for all the cons that I found solutions to. So for example, if it was expensive, then I could do things to earn money and then pay a certain amount into it so that I'm paying for it. You also want to show your parents that you're not just going to rely on them for all the money of the bearded dragon, because obviously it's your bearded dragon. So for example, I paid for most of Humphrey's things. I didn't make my parents spend, except for obviously the live food, because that was a weekly fund, which was quite expensive. But I bought most of her interior. I went online and found things for cheap that I could use for inside, and you want to make sure that you can do that, and then you're not just going to rely on them for the whole funding of it. Another con was my mum might be scared of reptiles, so I said that I'd look after it, or the insects, that they'd be in a secure place and feeding would be separate and my mum wouldn't have to see them. So these are all pros and cons that you want to list, and make sure that when you have a con you can try and find a solution, so that then when you show your parents the things that you found, that at least then it's not like, oh, what do we do about this issue? You kind of already have a substitute in place for how you can solve it. This will also show that you're mature and responsible enough to have one. If any issues arise, you can sort it out. So you'll also want to think about how your parents will react to having a reptile in the house. And yeah, researching is the main thing. You also really want to make sure that you have enough money to pay for one, because a lot of the time People think they're cheap, but you know, they can be very expensive. Humphrey went through 200 locusts in 2 days, which costed us £30, and obviously she had this every, you know, it was a repeating process, so it can be very expensive if they're eating a lot. You also want to have the vegetables. You need to make sure you have a vet nearby, and you know, just making sure like everything you have is there. Don't be secretive about anything. You've got to lay it all out on the table so that your parents can see every single cost, especially with like the heating and lights, because this can be quite expensive and you don't want, you know, your parents to not know about any costs that are going to come up. And also, you know, showing that you're responsible. Don't rush into it. Say over a few months, you know, show your parents that you're responsible. Keeping your room tidy, looking after yourself shows that you can look after another animal. You know, if your room's messy, they won't think you're responsible enough. So a good thing to do is make sure you're looking after yourself and keeping everything in the house nice and clean. And then this would hopefully persuade your parents to let you have one, potentially. So I hope these points helped in this video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll try and help. I'm also going to be making a video of how much most things cost and what you need for a bearded dragon. So if your parents want to see anything laid out for them, you can show them some of my YouTube videos, and I'll link that once it's made and uploaded down in the comments, down in the bar or up here as well. And yeah, if you know, show your parents as much as you can with them, and just show how great they are, but don't hide anything from them. Just over a few months, you know, keep mentioning it, but don't pester them about it. Tell them about it once you've researched and made sure that it's right for you, and then hopefully your parents should let you. It just depends family to family, you know, things change, and it'll all be different, varying. So good luck, and yeah, and thank you for watching this video. Bye.